Well, here it is, my obligatory Victoria Alonso is gone video. And while everybody's going to be talking about it, we don't really know what actually is happening. We can say that, what's being reported is nobody knows what's happening. In fact, the exclusive story, when it first broke on The Hollywood Reporter, said exactly that. And, well, I think there's a lot of tea leaves you could read. There are some financial circumstances that Disney is experiencing that means that they don't have a lot of room for failure any longer. Outside of Avatar: The Way of Water, which of course they inherited from Fox, they really haven't brought a lot to the table in quite some time, at least not from their two major IP families, which would be the MCU and of course Star Wars, which has its own problems. I mean, let's be honest, Mandalorian has fallen off a cliff. But Victoria Alonso got promoted into a very strange position in 2021. I believe that was prior to the exit of, Iger from his consultancy gig. And it put her in a weird place as president of physical media, post-production, visual effects, and animation production. That's a mouthful. And, to be fair, pretty much everything that came out of any of those, areas looked like straight garbage, which means she really wasn't doing much in her job to observe and greenlight, special effects among many other things. In fact, I can't recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, if Disney has ever won a visual effects Oscar. Perhaps they've been nominated, but I can't actually recall any Marvel film winning one, which may speak volumes. Now, there is no doubt, of course, that she was kind of a lighthouse, a beacon, a signal in her own way, in that she was very focused on diversity issues. Notice the quotation marks there. And of course, she's won a lot of awards for her diversity speaking. Well, speaking or delivering, I don't know. All I know is whenever she tried to deliver these diverse things to people with alphabet letters that they're very focused on, that's the only thing they care about, they were happy to shower with awards, but they weren't necessarily happy to show up in theaters. And because of some things that are often misplaced here in Western culture, I would say that leaning too hard into an agenda that basically confronts the belief systems of the majority of people in the biggest market that you serve, financially anyway, you're gonna run into some trouble. And we've watched the box office collapse for, the Marvel properties ever since the end of, the film Endgame. And it's been, started off maybe as a slow decline, and then it's been, an ever accelerating downward slide. It's very strange, and again, none of these are things that none of you would be unfamiliar with. It may have also hurt her that she was so hard in the paint when she came out against the Florida education bill, which was promptly named by its, adversaries, which controlled media, "Don't say gay." And of course, it's not actually in the bill, but she was a huge advocate for countering that bill. In fact, going to, the mattresses, so to speak, when trying to, get that bill turned back around or replaced or whatever you want to call it. Canceled, right? That's one of their favorite words. So of course we'll use it here. She was named, again, many different things, but she did have a wonderful accolade in People Magazine Espanol. She was named the most influential Hispanic woman in both 2019 and 2020. She was named in The Hollywood Reporter's Women in Entertainment Most Powerful list. She was in the top 100. And again, accolades aside, this comes down to the shadow of something that, we all were pretty focused on: the complete failure of Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania in the box office. The question is she the right fall guy? Or should it have been Kevin Feige? Or should they both have been given the boot? I would like to offer a couple of thoughts. First and foremost, she's one of 4,000 layoffs, perhaps, that Disney is currently engaged in, of the 7,000 that they have already announced. Now, I guess this is wave one, and this is a pretty big wave if she's one of the people that's in it. The second thing to think about here, perhaps, would be that Disney's not bringing in a lot of outside investment money any longer, and their stock performance, while with a small bounce with the return of Iger, kind of has had a very lackluster sheen recently. In fact, the numbers are still low, and that's not good. It also will be an interesting stockholder meeting, which is coming up shortly, when the annual opportunity arises when actual on the ground investors may have an opportunity to ask some very pointed questions. Not to mention the fact that perhaps Peltz is not as gone as they would hope. At least Disney is, well, kind of scrambling to make good on all the promises they made just a few weeks ago, as far as what they told the stockholders anyway. What will this actually mean for Marvel? Well, recently we have seen the greenlit series that are out there for Disney Plus all of a sudden become labeled with coming soon. And that's pretty strange. That includes not just What If, but also the very popular Loki sequel series season, or however that would be said. There are a whole lot of other things that supposedly were go, like Echo, that are also labeled coming soon. Now, add to that the fact that we've been pushing films back as fast and furiously as you possibly can, unless you're, of course, Vin Diesel. But they've actually ended up with the Marvels on its 5th date, I think. Maybe it's the 4th date. All I know is they pushed this movie a long way back for a whole lot of reasons. And believe it or not, probably not just visual effects. Perhaps Disney's also paying attention to what just happened to DC as they were getting ready to reboot their entire property. And they may have noted that in that process, they've pretty much convinced all of the fans not to show up at the theaters anymore because nothing they will see will be of consequence. That was a really bad move by Gunn and team, and I think David Zaslav's probably less than thrilled right now. In fact, Shazam 2 has seemingly come up with the lowest box office number for an opening weekend of this entire DC experience with Zack Snyder and company. And that's saying something. But returning back to Victoria Alonso, I ask you, do you think she'll be missed at all? Do you think that she's just one of many heads soon to roll at the company? And how long do you think it will be before we actually find out what really happened here? That's the best question, I think. And look, I talk about pop culture and entertainment stuff all the time, whether it be MCU, DC, EU, whether it be Star Wars or any other thing. So you can just check a video right here and see what I thought most recently of, well, for what it's worth, I'll conclude by saying I think that this was, well, a good thing overall. The question is this where it stops? Because if this is where it stops when getting rid of, well, some very damaging elements to your brands, you haven't gone far enough. There's a whole lot of people that need to be dismissed. And if you're willing to go the extra mile, Iger, you just might pull out of this, well, problem. And again, layoffs are a perfect opportunity to clear the decks of any of those problems out there that, you know, no employer would actually hire in, well, a crashing economy, for lack of a better way to say things. And with that, I'll end the video by saying be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.